I did think of giving you a treatise on the dire state of the NHS and my plans to resolve the issue, but I spoke to Graham and he said that a much safer bet would be if I talked a little bit about my school days and my career and maybe a few funny anecdotes. So it's on him. If it works, then it was my idea, and if it doesn't work, then you know. So for those of you who don't know, I am a career Old Lerpoolian. I started in 1970 in David House with the formidable Eleanor Barron. Do you know? Yeah. So a woman who disliked me intensely. I have no idea why, but she clearly despised me. That may be true. So I went through David House. Despite that, I enjoyed David House, and I went to lower school, and I was put in Nora Deakin. So paradoxically, Nora Deakin loved me. I have no idea where she loved me, but it was certainly more pleasant than being disliked. And I then went through to Peter Perlin's school. What a great guy! Okay, a man who gave of his time. What an excellent role model, and how much I remember that he gave and Dave Welsh gave to Liverpool College, holidays abroad, the scouts, trips abroad, to two really great men who I've got a lot of time for. And then through lower school to upper school and into Howard's, not Brooks, and the formidable Ian McCall. And I still remember his welcoming letter to me when I entered the sixth form, the gist of which was, innate talent counts for very little, but hard work and focus will get you where you want to go. And to be honest, they were true words, and it stuck with me throughout my life. And I was forced to reflect on my time at Liverpool College, and I have a funny career, but my career teaches you to value the present above everything, look forward and don't look back, and this forced me to look back, and you know what was important to me at Liverpool College, and what did I learn, and what were the valuable lessons, and hence you're not going to like this, okay, because I reflected on it a lot, and the academic stuff was, okay, really, I'd have got there, but the valuable stuff was all those soft skills that actually proved useful to me, throughout my life. And it was about learning to get on with people, learning about getting on with older people, about forming teams, leadership. Those were the things that I really learned, those soft skills. And where did I learn those soft skills? Well, the same places you all did, but sport was big at Liverpool College. I was no great sportsman. I had some modest talents. I was surprisingly not very good on the rugby field. It's strange with my stature, isn't it? But I had a bit of talent for hockey. I remember seeing David quite a lot, and I had a lot of time for Don Hughes, who was very enlightened, and thank God recognised that I had some talent in hockey and pulled me out of rugby 2 years before I was supposed to join the hockey team, and put me in the hockey team. And it probably wouldn't happen now, but in these enlightened times, he used to let me off on a Saturday afternoon to go and play for Liverpool Sefton men's third team on the grounds that I'd probably learned a better standard. I loved it. What I learned was that actually older people are just like younger people. They're just a bit greyer, fatter and slower. But hang on. He's talking about and I learned that drinking beer early on has consequences later on in the night. A valuable lesson to have learned. I also had some talent in shooting, and at that stage, the shooting team was very active. Wally Clark, I'll come on to in a minute, who's another man that I had an immense amount of time for. Set up the shooting team, at that time Graham came back. He impressed us hugely when he came back. This Old Lerpoolian with his great British shooting jacket on, and he drove a Porsche. I remember. And he took us to various shooting matches. And I remember going to Old Card. Do you remember going to? Oh, yeah. So there was a lad in the shooting team called Broster. Does anyone know what happened to him? He must have been about 1982, 83. Shot. So this guy was unique because he turned up to all our practices on a Wednesday, but he never shot because his job was to go and be the lookout. So he turned up, went to the lookout station, stayed there for 2.5 hours looking out to make sure no one came into the break zone. The reason behind this was at the age of 16, he was already had a 40-a-day habit. So he disappeared with 2 packets of Benson and Hedges and worked his way through them in the sure knowledge that no one was going to interrupt him. And then he'd come back, and that continued. And of course, the shooting team was closely allied to CCF and Waddy Clark, who just taught me so much. I mean, CCF taught me so much. Little skills like reading a map using a compass. I learned that after 2 days on Holcombe Moor in a bivvy tent with no ground sheet, I learned that it was physically impossible to be uncomfortable in a centrally heated house with carpet and running. That's a really important lesson in life. And we had that, that CCF, ACF rivalry. So there was one competition, I remember, where we were billeted with Manchester ACF, and there was that public school, non-public school bit. It was all getting a bit tense. Graham didn't know anything about it because he was in the pub. and the ice was broken by Manchester ACF challenging us to a fart lighting contest. which I'm pleased to say was won by Liverpool College. But only because we used the WD-40 to squirt through the flames and we set fire to his trousers. So one of the other things I got out of Liverpool College, soft skill was skiing. So my family didn't ski, I didn't ski, but I went with Ian Lightbody and Keith Hamilton. I used to run the ski trips. Again, 2 stalwarts of the college, men who were excellent role models who gave of their time freely, and I'm grateful. And it gave me a love of skiing that perpetuated all my life. So after I left the college, I skied a lot. And at one point, a friend and I decided that we would go all in and we would go to Canada heli skiing. People familiar with heli skiing? So you go for the week, you fly into a lodge, you have a helicopter, it takes you to the top of the mountain, it drops you off, you ski down virgin snow, you get to the bottom, the helicopter picks you up, repeat. It is very exciting. It's also quite challenging, and you need to be very fit. And they graded the groups 1 to 4, and they asked you on the bus on the way what your ability was. And being arrogant, callow people, we put excellent and in group 1. And we turned up on the helipad, and I looked around and I said to him, I think we might be in a bit of bother here. And he said, why'd you say that? I said, well, these guys have all got 1,000,000-foot suits on, so 1,000,000-foot meant you've done about 10 weeks. And that's a lot, And he said, well, actually, it's worse than that. I said, well, how can it be worse than that, Jeff? He said, well, most of them, it's their 3rd or 4th suit. They were outstanding. Okay, I nearly died. I fell over. I couldn't keep up with them. It was deep snow. I was exhausted. By the end of the 2nd day, I could barely walk. And I'd actually, at this point, suffered so much and so loudly that I'd engendered sympathy, and the Americans told me that I had to go for a massage. Now, Liverpool College had prepared me for skiing. It had not prepared me for massage. This was the only way I was going to make it out for the 3rd day. So I booked myself a massage with a Kiwi male masseuse. Now, I'm sure you all know, but when you have a massage, you go in, there's a room, there's a table, it's got blankets on it, there's a headpiece, and the guy comes in, says hello, goes out, you go in, take your clothes off, under the sheets, lie down, he starts the massage. I knew none of this, but being very British, I said to this guy, so how does it work? Do you want shorts on, do you want shorts off, I don't mind, So he says, well, he says, is your butt tight? Right. Now that you mention it is a bit, it is. He said, whip your strides up, hop on the bed, shove your snozzle in the hole, and I'll be back in a minute. And then I looked at him, just for a minute, I don't understand how this works, because like half my body is going to be off the bed. Bloody hell. He means my nose. I had visions of him coming back with me and my tackle in the head.